I get a lot of questions about our course, the course I do called the Case for Gold and Silver, and people ask me how I got into that and where did the that knowledge come from. The sort of dealing with gold and silver, and it started a few years back. Um, a kind of political motivation, you could say, religious as well, moved me into forming the company Iron Gold. And Iron Gold was to distribute gold and silver coins and bullion bars to the public, as it were, to the end users, uh, people who were, in a sense, doing their bit to kind of get away from reliance on the international banking system, um, and also encouraging people to put some of their money, some of their savings into gold and silver, which has always been traditionally money. And part of that politics is just that banks crash. A lot of the time, banks crash, and banks, because of the way money is made, it's the cause of inflation, you know, rampant inflation and ongoing inflation over the years. So it's so some of us have a inherent, like dislike for the banking system, if you like, and what it does. And so to encourage people to step away from the banks to some degree, the reliance on the banks, I was involved in facilitating that by providing people with gold and silver, both as an alternative as for savings and also as an alternative currency in some instances, right? So and I did that for a while, and it was enjoyable. I learned a lot. I learned a lot about the whole gold process of where gold comes from, how it becomes what it becomes, and where the money's made, and all these things. And so in a sense, I was being a bit of a retailer. I was really a retailer. Then we stepped up at one point, started getting coins made for ourselves, minting our own coins, not by physically having a press, but getting someone to mint coins for us, our own coins, our own designs. That was the Islamic silver dirham, was the first one. Well, that was actually the second one. And there's a point when we're involved in distributing it and redeeming it and all these things. And but there's a point which I talk about in Olympic Sprint Business Coaching, where I say that when you get to the point, I usually say about £100,000 when you started a new business, it's a kind of watershed moment. You have to decide if you've got a job, are you going to go full time into your business? Are you happy to sort of keep it at that level? Are you thinking of expanding it? Multiply it, replicating it? It's that kind of. And I got to that moment where I had to decide. Well, how seriously do I want to take this? How much time do I want to put into this gold and silver? And do I want to get further? Do I want to get into the point of mining and refining? And do I want to, who do I want to buy from? It's a very interesting industry, and there's so many places where you can get involved in it. And I also found out that people who I would normally buy from certain coins from, not my main coins, because of course by this time everybody's coming to me for all kinds of things, not just the main coins I was selling, but people coming to me for all kind of bullion. So I would buy those in and sell them on as well. But some of the people I would buy from now start advertising to the public themselves. They've invested a lot of money to reach out, so I had to think about where I was. And at that point, I'd also been a feature in a magazine, a business magazine had featured me, and they called me the reluctant gold dealer. And because the story, they realised in interviewing me that it wasn't really my favourite. I never set out to be a gold dealer, so they captured that and called me the reluctant gold dealer, which was actually quite apt, and it made me think, well, do I really want to be in this industry at this level? And so I stepped back from that. But what I found out, I had spoken to a lot of people over the years, a lot of people I had spoken to, and I had encouraged them to get into the business because that was something they wanted to do, and I had been pretty much a consultant for them. And then I started writing the courses and actually doing the courses, doing live presentations, and people would call same name as this course, the Case for Gold. And I would talk a lot about gold and where it comes from and the process and how it's traditionally been money and what it's used for, gold and silver, practically its uses, how it's priced, you know, how the price is determined, where to see the price, you know, how it's sold, where it's sold, who buys back. I really delved into the industry, you know, comparing the chart, you know, if you'd invested in gold 10, 15 years ago as opposed to, you know, Google or British Airways or, you know, the bank or all these things, whatever things. I compared it with all the things that people buy, different commodities, and, you know, compared the performance. It's weird because I don't talk about gold as an investment. I talk about a saving, and people talk about it like as a hedge against inflation, all these things. But I don't talk about it as an investment, because for me, investments are things that produce income. You know, like a house that you rent, right? You buy it and it produces income. You know, you buy a nightclub and it produces income. You know, that's how I view an investment. So I don't talk about gold or silver as investments, but they outperform most things that people do classify as investments. You know, stocks and shares and all that stuff. You know, it's and of course they're safer. Even now in this whole cryptocurrency world, of course it's safer because they don't go to zero. All these other things, anything you buy that's not kind of bricks and mortar type thing, something solid, crypto, other things, stocks and shares, they can all go to zero at some point. You know, paper money, you know, all of them can go to zero. Currencies crash and other things crash, or anything, you know, it can go to zero. Gold and silver don't go to zero. So, you know, you'll always have at least the scrap value. So, hence, you know, de facto, if you like, by default, I've become, you know, people have asked me to keep teaching it, and I keep teaching it, and people benefit from it. Some of them become gold dealers themselves. Some of them add gold to their portfolios if they're involved in other stuff. And most people at least start to buy gold and silver to saving, and I kind of direct people where to buy from and what they should buy, what are the best items to buy. Yeah, so that's really my story of how I got into gold and silver and why I've developed the course, The Case for Gold. And it's at www.businesstutorsonline. That's where you'll find the course, businesstutorsonline.com. And you'll find many of our other courses there, especially the Olympic Sprint Business Coaching courses. They'll be there. And you'll also find, so that's that, www.businesstutorsonline.com, and it's The Case for Gold, right? And so if you're interested in that, please check it out. Also, if you're generally in business anyway, and you want to plug in to our network, it's the Tijara Business Network. It's £6 a month, and you plug in. You can talk to. You can send questions, and there's a peer-to-peer network. You can interact with myself and other coaches, and you can share information and stories with other people who are going through their own business journey, if you like, and some of them will be in the same situation as yourself. People who've taken the courses and so on will be on there, and you can subscribe to that for just £6 a month at the main site, olympicsprintbusiness.com, www.olympicsprintbusiness.com, right? And that's the Tijara Business Network, and I said you can interact with me and many other people there. So I hope that I hope you got some information on that, and I hope to either see you subscribe to the Case for Gold at Business Tutors Online, or at least in the network at olympicsprintbusiness.com.